That's why all men's got to stand up. Listen, all women's got to stand up. All men's equal this shit. All women equal this shit. Let's go get this money, baby. That's right. Let's get that money.
You can't have no party. It ain't no
party.
It ain't no party.
Ain't no party.
It ain't nothing to this. The first class out.
Sweetie is an icon.
Was you invited?
Sweetie was an icon.
I'm invited. Next Saturday, she brunch. This past Saturday. Sorry, I just finished the lobster roll. My mouth might smell like lobster.
I do my own body, though.
There's nothing to be celebrated. The music is not a good party. He's not out yet.
That's right.
The music is too much.
You heard what she said, right? She's not out yet. That's true.
Get off of the fucking spinner. Get out the street. Get out the fucking street. Yeah. Get out the street. Get out the street. If your body touches the spinner, you're getting assaulted. Because you're forcing the person.
That's right, my nigga. Listen. Yo, listen, your daddy coming soon, baby.
Get off that fucking bag, bitch. Get off that fucking
Yo, quick. Your daddy coming home soon, my nigga.
Get the fuck
Yo, quick. Yo, stop fighting. Yo, fight. Get the fight. Oh, there's a fight. Oh, you're blaming on Diddy now.
I said get off that spinner.
That's
I
right.
said get off that
Yo,
spinner.
Chris, my nigga, man.
I said get out the street.
Hold your hands up, big man.
Knock it off.
Hold your hands up, mama.
You trying to assault the Jones, miss? You trying to assault the
We love
Jones,
you,
miss?
mama. We love you, mama. That's right.
I said get out the street.
All mamas are mama, guys.
Mister,
All
get
mamas
out the
are
fuck
mama,
out the
guys.
street. Get off that spinner.
All mamas
Get
love
off
their
that spinner,
kids.
sir.
All mamas love their kids, guys. All mamas are mama, guys.
You look yellow.
All mamas are mama, guys. We gotta respect mamas. You know what I'm saying? She loves your son. You know what I'm saying? It's the way that you wake up every day. You gotta see your mom. You gotta see your kids. You gotta see your family. That's the same way I see it. I talk for everyone, baby. I talk for all of us, guys. All of us. We all love our mamas. Waking up to see your mamas every day. Waking up to see your child every day. That's a beautiful thing, right?
You alright? Yeah, no worries. I got you. I got you.
Come on, man. We all love these.
You have every
He's a
right.
man just like
What
us.
happens?
Get it! He's a man. He's a human being just like us. Remember that he's a man just like us. He loves his mother. The same way you love your mother. The same way I love my mother. Good shit. Brooklyn is
Shout out to Misa. Watch out. Come on,
Let's get it down, back up.
Clear her lane. Clear her lane. Clear her lane.
Nisa, where Diddy
Clear her
at?
lane.
Nisa, how big Diddy dick?
Lady, watch your fucking mouth. Hey, yo! Get your fucking, get your shit out of
Don't
trouble.
hit me.
Bitch move.
Don't hit me.
Bitch move out the way.
Hey, Nisa.
Excuse me,
Hey,
move.
Nisa.
We don't like cameras. Back up, back.
Hey, Nisa. I got Nisa.
Give him some space, my nigga. 6 feet. All of y'all.
Hi, Nisa. Where Diddy at?
Big Mike.
Diddy, where the freak off?
Stop it,
Where
Kenny.
the freak off?
Don't touch that fucking car. Don't
Ain't
you
nobody
dare.
touching nothing. Hi, Nisa.
Don't touch that
How
van.
big Diddy dick is?
Don't touch it.
How big Diddy
Whatever it is, keep your hands off it.
I'm not responsible for what you hear in the background. I'm not responsible.
Not responsible for any of this.
I'm not responsible in the background.
You don't even want to say bye?
Is she your bitch or Diddy?
No,
Why she gotta talk to you?
Mañana la defensa.
I don't like
God created everything already for us. Now we don't have to fight. We don't have to kill each other for any little petty.
What's going on, man?
I still gotta see that video.
Yeah, I need it, man. It's my birthday today, man. Don't forget me, bro.
I get it.
I got my Korean. And I have
What's up, everybody? Another day. This was a tough day, a tough day. Let's see who we have in the audience here, in the crowd. See, it's a wild group out there, right? Yeah, the next week the crowd's gonna be even crazier. Super crazy. What's up, Mashona? What's happening? Cindy, what's going on? Gina, hey now, have you seen Tisa? Yeah, I seen Tisa. I just left Tisa. She just left. I was in court with her today, so she. I could elaborate, but that's. Oh boy, so much. All right, let's see. Yeah, she was outside. She's okay. Let's see. Yeah, they're losing it outside the courthouse, folks. Yeah, more than likely I'll be on Myron's show tonight. Thank you very much. You want me to go get the car or just wait for it? All right, guys. Just getting my vehicle back. Let's see here. Who do we have in the building? All right. Yeah, there was just a fight out there. Looked like Jackie knocked the lady down. I mean, man, that was some crazy stuff. It's crazy out there. Yeah, the last few days, down to the wire. Yeah, Emmanuel, that was the same chick that was heckling Myron for sure. Yep, that was definitely her. Now everybody's used to her, so it's not as, when she heckled Myron, that was the first time I ever saw her, so I was shocked. Now, every other day is just a new gimmick, All right, what's up, Sakina Ra? How are you? What's up, Kevinism? Yep. Just mad drama going on, that's all. Mad drama. Oh, this is a process. Probably getting out of the city today on a Thursday. It's gonna be crazy. I drove in today, so it's gonna be probably about a 2-hour gig getting out of the city. And then I'll go on a couple shows tonight, folks. Hopefully I'll be home by 8. I can rock out. But we had quite the day. I'll talk about it going back up. It's kind of rowdy out there. Yeah, it's real rowdy. It's a going trend, folks. It's a going trend. Hit the like button, folks, if you don't mind it. Share or subscribe, what have it. Wow, look at that driving. Man, that's talking about really needing to get out of there. There's no way my big truck is coming out of there. Yep. That's crazy. What up, Joe? Flores in the house. What's up, Joe? All right, Joe. We'll catch you later. Thanks for checking in. Man, this is quite a process. So today, man, we had a tough day. The prosecutors, they really laid out this case. Man, it's pretty devastating if you ask me, but I think anything can happen, folks. It could go either way, but we'll have to see what the defense can say and bring out tomorrow, because let me tell you something. She went from all the way from 10 o'clock all the way to now. And they broke down the racketeering and the sex trafficking and also crossing state lines. So it's 5 counts, 1 count of racketeering that has, they broke down maybe 10 predicates. And then they broke down 2 different counts of sex trafficking with Jane and Cassie. And then also crossing state lines with Jane and Cassie. So, but you know, the overall case, they're talking about these sex workers. I mean, they went back through memory lane. There's a lot of things that I've forgotten about because it's been 7 weeks and I've been sitting in court every day. You hear so much stuff. But yeah, it's something to worry about, folks. That's all I can tell you. I'm not sure. They haven't revealed who's going to do the closing arguments for the defense. At least I didn't hear it. So I'm hoping it's Brian Steele, or if not, it would be Nicole Westmoreland, one of the two. I think looking at how they broke it down today, I would say one of them needs to do it. I would say Brian Steele, let him go ahead and close this thing out. That would be maximizing, because he has such a presence. You're going to need everything you can get, because let me tell you, folks, the way they broke this thing down today, it's, it's just something I just think that, whew, man, these charges are something else. Yeah, these charges are something else, folks. So, here we go. Good deal. All right. Get up out of here now. Thank you. You got the keys in it?
Yeah, keys.
All right. Cool. Thank you very much. Oh, very well. All right, we're out of here. We are out of here. Man, what a day. I guess people are not afraid of getting arrested, because Jacqueline knocked that lady straight out. Knocked her down. And if I hadn't intervened, she probably would have gave her a 1-2, you know. The lady was actually laying on her back on the ground. You know, she wasn't a young lady, from what I could see, like extremely young, so crazy. All right, so we're out of here. to rock and roll, folks. Time to rock and roll. I'll be here all day. All right, man.
Out.
Yeah, I'm out.
I parked down there when I first got here. I said, no, why don't you get in early enough to park on the street?
Nah, man, I don't want nobody taking my mirrors off. I'm good. No, it's cool. I'll see you tomorrow, though.
All right.
All right, thanks. All right. So we're taking the journey out of New York.
In 400 feet, turn right onto St. James Place.
Let's see. That girl, Henny, what's going on? What did you think about today, Henny? This thing is hands-free, but I don't know. It's what it is, folks.
Turn right onto St. James Place.
Nah, tomorrow I'll probably take the train in. Today I had to do an airport run, so I drove in again. I've been driving in a lot lately. It's crazy. Yes, indeed, folks. We have, Henny, what did you think about court today? Let's see, do I go down James? All right. You have to stay alert out here because you have to look at for the bicycles, the vehicles, the police in the middle of the road, people walking, dogs, cats, everything, folks.
In a quarter mile, turn left onto the ramp to FDR Drive, South Street Viaduct.
All right, so today I'm going out, looks like on the FDR. So today in court, I thought that, let me just say, I have to try to remain unbiased. So that's something I have to focus on, because I'll be telling you what I really thought in a heartbeat. So anyway, I felt like the prosecutors, they laid down their case. And they laid it down a little bit. You know, the thing is, she went on so long, I think she actually undermined the original message that she had. I thought she started off good, but the problem is, once you stay up there too long, and some people said 4 hours would be too much, and she went more than 4 hours, so I think if she had kept it very concise, she would have hit a home run.
Turn left onto the ramp to FDR Drive, then slide right onto the Franklin D. Roosevelt East River Drive North ramp.
They put together a mean case. I mean, they really broke down the predicates. I really have to see what the defense do. I mean, listen, he has the best attorneys out there. Maybe they'll come swinging hard and be able to hit a home run for Mr. Combs. His family showed up today. Today was the first day his daughters came back since the beginning of the trial, and it was, it was exciting to see that the family really united for the cause to try to show some support for him, their father, at a tough time. It seemed like Mia was there. I think the other daughter, I think her mother was there. I'm not sure of her name. Henny, you might know, right? But the way they laid that case down, I wouldn't have been able to stomach it, really. If I was in those shoes,
slide right onto the Franklin D. Roosevelt East River Drive North ramp.
So we're going up to FDR.
In a quarter
today,
mile, merge onto FDR Drive, South Street Viaduct.
And we're looking across the river to Brooklyn, folks. Probably some of you guys have been to Brooklyn, maybe lived in Brooklyn before. I used to, where that welcome sign is, I used to live over there. When I first came to New York, folks, now I've been here 30 years. Can you imagine that? Man, what did I do? Well, I accomplished a lot, but life goes by fast. It really does, folks. So, let's get into the case today. This morning, I think I was a little bit, well, I was halfway biased, but you know, I'm at the point now where it looks like the prosecutors are really, they're pulling out all the stops, and it's hard to not see
Continue
that.
on FDR Drive for 4 miles.
Folks, this is the FDR. This is probably it's a quicker way of getting out of the city than the West Side Highway, although I like the West Side Highway better. The FDR, there's not a lot of lights, so you can move on out and get on out of the city. So usually I do take the West Side Highway because I had to make a certain stop or two. But today I'm just trying to get home so I can do a couple shows. We're wrapping up for this case and moving on to others. Let's see what people are saying here. Yeah. Let's see, Bordox. Earlier I was saying that I was listening to someone in the tweets from Diddy and fell asleep. Trial. Oh, okay. Tweets from Diddy. Oh, okay. I'm not sure if you're saying Diddy fell asleep or what have you. But we'll get that refined. Sakina says, Cindy, peace. Okay, cool. All right. I don't know how you could approach what they did today. I mean, they went through, they showed so many predicate acts. And then, you know what's crazy about this case, guys? Is that when it comes to the drugs, it's not like there's one or two events. Like, when it came to the drugs, it's like hundreds. Because they're saying they had so many freak-offs and there was drugs every time and there's so much drug distribution. So that's what they were pointing out. I'll let you come to your own conclusion. I won't try to give any of my own ideas or philosophies. It's just overwhelming. Like, you can just choose which crime you want to focus on. But they came in with a whole buffet of different crimes that took place over the last, 10 years or so. And it's like the way that they're setting up for the Rico, I mean, it could very well, I wouldn't be surprised though, if, and the jury today, they just were everybody seemed so bitter, I think they've had enough, but the jury has changed. It has evolved since I've been covering this trial. And I think it's scary though, listen, I really don't have a dog in the fight, but it's almost like you're watching a game, well, not really a game, but you're watching two sides and you really, you're not tied to the case, so you're just trying to see the angle of both sides, basically. So that's what I'm doing. I'm just trying to see who can formulate their arguments to bring out the truth the best. But I'm telling you, the defense have their work cut out. I mean, they put together a presentation like, man, this was top-notch stuff. I mean, this is just from my observation. They had everything laid out so nice. The only thing that took away from it, it was a very good presentation they did. It just went on too long, and I saw that most people were falling asleep by the end of the day or looking at the clock. Even the jurors like ready to go. And I noticed a lot of the jurors were looking out into the audience and daydreaming. They wasn't really focused on her anymore. Her delivery wasn't the best in the world. She was okay, but her points, she made her points, believe me. And on some of the acts, like forced labor, obstruction, and then some of the points she was like, there are a dozen of these crimes for just this one different crime. So, that's the point she kept making. Like, there's so many. All you have to do is choose two, and I'm gonna give you hundreds, basically. I mean, you think about the drugs. She did mention just for the drugs alone. I mean, which I didn't realize. Now I understand this whole Rico, and I understand how they lay it out. I think most attorneys should have checked in and came to court today, because most of the attorneys that I've talked to, they haven't laid it out the way that they came out. I mean, they came out and they broke down this group effort. They broke it down so simple. And I think the way they broke it down is going to make it easier for people to understand that are even on the jury, folks. And like I said, it's going to be a tough moment. It's going to be tough. Let's see. Let's see what people are saying. Yeah, an extra hour longer. It's crazy. What do you guys think about the case so far? You think that he'll, be found guilty or not guilty? What do you guys think? What do you think? Oh, okay. Okay, so let's see. The person, BJ, must be reading the transcripts, I take it. Yeah, the courtroom, I mean, it was good starting off because it was so educational. Like, the way they laid this thing out, the law is so simple in many regards. Like, I took notes. When I get tonight, I'll break it down. Like, but it's so complex. And I think people don't realize how easy you could commit a crime like that and not really think a lot of it until the feds come knocking. But they show, I mean, oh yeah, as far as flying sex workers from New York to LA, stuff like that, she was breaking it down to where there's dozens of those. And basically you could just choose two of them and boom, you have a Rico. Like, I thought they would have to be separate, but she started off explaining, like, with the drugs, and there's so much drugs, you could really fulfill the Rico with the drugs if I understood her correctly, because you have two separate drug offenses. And like she was saying, the girls came in and said that there were drugs at every freak off, and then you have hundreds of freak offs. So it's basically that's like scary to me. If Henny, if you're still in the audience, I mean, tell me what you think. Did you gather that from what she's saying? I mean, she opened up and basically within 2 minutes had found a Rico. I mean, like, sheesh. I don't know what you could do with that, really. I can't wait to see. I mean, the attorneys are sharp, I would imagine, but it was so simplistic the way they broke it down. And I can't wait to see what people say on YouTube tonight. I have to go through and check it out, folks. I'm gonna see if they still on that. Oh yeah, there's nothing there. There's nothing burger. I want to see who's gonna say that. Yeah, very, very similar, Eric. Right on point. Yeah, Bordox. But from the overall case and what you've been hearing, I wanted to just, not necessarily from the trial, but just, you see different things online, you listen here and there. From all the information that you've assimilated, have you made a decision like, oh, this seems like it might have some weight to it, or no, it doesn't at all. Kevinism, I think they got too much on him, bro. Too much, bro. He won't be able to, bro. Listen, man. I wasn't trying to say that, but you said it. You took the words out of my mouth, man. You know, it's just they laid out so much today. Like, oh my goodness, like how can you? What can the defense do? I mean, how do you go in there and you tackle? Let's say it's 10 different predicate acts, right? And all you need is 2. And let's say they just focus on 10, I believe. Let me see. Since I'm stuck in traffic, let's see. But within those 10, you could choose one like drugs, and you could have 100 different instances, right? And all you need is 2 of those. That's what she explained. But then you could go to the sex workers, and she said today, she says there's dozens of instances, and all you need is 2. Like, what can you really do with that? You know, what can you do with that? You're talking about choosing 2 out of hundreds. Like what is going on, folks? I mean, I don't know. I just don't know what to say. But I'm excited. I can't wait tomorrow to see how the defense is gonna, you know, protect their client and try to mitigate his losses or help him come home. But you know, they put together this case. You know, here's the thing that was really interesting about it today. They used the testimony that Cassie, Jane Doe, Mia, they used those testimonies in court today. So they took that information, they processed it, and then they presented it in their presentation for their argument. So it was like, man, they came out swinging today. So what could anybody do with that, you know? Curtis Gilliam says overreach and stay out of people's bedrooms. That's true. But that's too late now, Curtis. They've already crossed that domain. And you know, this case is going to set even further precedents for the bedroom activity, because it's all out on Broad Street. You know, he had to sit there while they go through all of his little kinky ideas. Or even today, they went through, they had a summation of all the men. I mean, they showed a list. There was 27 sex workers. I counted them. They showed there was at least 27 sex workers. There was probably about 12 that Cassie and Jane both had at some point. You know, the guys, 12 of those guys, was it 12? Maybe less. Maybe let's say 10, 12 that had been with Cassie and Jane. The bulk of them had been with Cassie, and then there was some that had only been with Jane. But yeah, so there you have right there. Right there alone, you have 27. Is that 27 predicate acts? Oh my God, you need 2. Oh my goodness. I don't know. This is messy, man. This is complicated. But from what I gather, that's why she was saying that there's dozens that you could just pick from the sex workers, I guess. I don't know. It's really a interesting case, you know? It really is. Thank you, Curtis. I appreciate it. Thanks for liking the video, sharing. Right now, we're leaving out of New York City on the FDR. Look at that. They have Pepsi Cola across the street over there. Yeah, this is very interesting, folks, just to say the least. Like, okay, so let's say tomorrow they have to counter all of these predicate acts that they went through, and then they showed 27 sex workers, and basically they're saying that Diddy, even if the girls didn't see all of the 27 per se, Diddy saw each of them. That's the point they made. So that's 27 times, right? Because there's 27 guys, right? And so then, like for instance, the guy Daniel Phillips, I think he testified that he came through there at least a dozen times. So now you're 27. That number turns into something crazy when you factor in. Because see, a lot of them, like Jules, they show you the documentation where he came several times, and they have it documented. So the jury, we're in there taking notes, and a lot of this, we just try to, like, I'm in there trying to write down what's on the slides. And sometimes by the time they're done reading the slides and move on, you can't write all the details. So that's how fast we're going through so many different points. Guys, there's the boat if you want to come out here and do the yacht tour and have the dinner dancing and all that stuff. Then they have the tours. And this is New York, so you can do the helicopter rides. There's so much you can do here. Yeah, guys, so you need two, and they've laid out so many it's not even funny. Yeah, so this is New York, folks. We're approaching 61, so we passed the area for Times Square. Now we're heading through Harlem area, heading up toward Harlem. Imagine living in one of these high-rise and you forget your keys on the counter or something. You got to go back and get some medication or something. You got to get back on the elevator and go all the way back up to the top floor. That would be crazy to me, Thanks for the super chat. That's Eric, I believe. I recognize his face. Yes. Oh, see, I recognize your face, Eric. All right. Thank you very much for that super chat, brother. I appreciate the support. I mean, I'm trying to be neutral, but there's only so much you can say when they come in. Like, at some point, so this is what happens, right? And maybe it's just me, but at some point, she's going through so many predicate acts: forced labor, drugs. They break down sex trafficking, but also separate from sex trafficking is going across state lines. And she spent so much time showing how these workers are going across, they're being flown from here to there. What are you gonna, what are they gonna say? They will just, she was even countering, see, they did this Rule 29, right? Where they're trying to have an acquittal. But what I noticed is that they argued Shapiro argued most of the points trying to get the acquittal. But when you do that, you show your hand. So what the girl did today, because she had did that Rule 29 acquittal, or trying to get the acquittal, she started countering their arguments already. like, yo, now she is countering your arguments. She was like, yeah, so the defense has this silly argument trying to say that it wasn't sex trafficking, that Diddy was just paying for the use of your time. She said that's a silly argument. Like, now when you come in tomorrow, and if that's your argument, the jury's going to be like, oh yeah, that's that silly argument. Like, you see what I'm saying? So this is very complex, more complex than Donald Trump's case. When I went to Trump's case, most of the jargon you couldn't even understand because it was just on that level. But this case is very complex, folks. Very complex. What's up, Nikki? How are you? Shout out to you. Yes, forced labor was much clearer to me today, hearing how it was presented. Yeah, forced labor. Folks, that's one subject of its own, forced labor. And then the forced labor, they break it down how that's like, oh my God, man, how can you? There are people in prison for just one of these, probably, just so many are just in drugs, just in prison for drugs alone. She says there's hundreds of accounts or basically occurrences because they came in and testified. And not only that, folks, they broke down how you don't have to sell the drugs. It's illegal to give away drugs. So she started off, she prefaced her statement saying that we don't need 10 counts of drugs. All we need is one, folks, just one. And so think about it this way. And I'm just telling you what I'm observing. I don't really have I don't want to give my opinion per se, but think about it this way, folks. You have one freak off, right? And you have 6 or 7 different drugs that she named off that is at one freak off. And they also have documentation where Diddy is, when he's making his order or something, he's saying, I need a little ketamine, some this, and that. So, and then you're having multiple freak offs, and it's just crazy to me, you know? I just, it would be overwhelming, but maybe tomorrow there's going to be a lot of energy coming from the defense, and it's going to be a big battle, you know? But they went through so much material, you know, you have to counter it all. I mean, you just can't go in there and say, yeah, you know, this is bogus. Now, I'm not an attorney, but as I was sitting there, this is what I was thinking to myself. I said, the only way you can fight this, you're going to have to paint a picture that the government did a witch hunt on him, and this is unfair. Because if you go up there and you just try to counter these points all day, people are going to be asleep by 2 o'clock. They're not even going to hear half of it. Then certain points, like she already said, the defense is making silly arguments. And I mean, listen, she made a good point. Like, we know what it is. We're grown adults here. You could probably tell a child, yeah, I gave you $10, you know, I gave this person money for their time. But somebody that's an adult, they're going to say, no, this is prostitution. Well, I mean, I'm not saying that. I don't want to say too much, but I'm just saying. I mean, that's the point she made, folks. I mean, that's a solid point. But again, I see trouble for the defense. But again, you know, when you have 4 different shops, you know, and I think there's 4 different attorney offices being representing him. So it's almost like a lot of times when it comes to legal, there's technicalities and things. Maybe there's some of that in the air, but I don't know at this point how much of that is on the table. But I do know that in the opening, you know, I've been in court every day, even for the jury selection. I do know it struck me as odd when the defense stood up in the opening arguments and they said this was not prostitution. This was, he was paying them for their time. Like, I mean, I'm upstate New York, and I'm not that far from Newburgh, and we have streetwalkers all the time, you know, prostitutes. Imagine if they say the guys, these little old guys is picking them up. Oh, they're just picking us up for our time. You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, there wouldn't be any prostitutes, right? Like, everybody would say, no, don't interrupt my time, you know. I yield my time, you know what I mean? It's like, so she called him out today, folks. She's like, the defense have this silly argument. So what will the defense say tomorrow? You know, do they have to change their argument tonight because they did that? You know, I don't know. I will be there to see, but we had, imagine this, right? What we have, maybe 6 hours, 5 or 6 hours of straight predicates today, breaking down forced labor and everything else. Like, that's how much dirt they have on, allegedly they have on Diddy, you know. And there's so many people involved, and they, listen, the way that, you know, the problem that I've seen with this case is that most people couldn't understand how could this be racketeering, because you need a,
In 1,000 feet, keep right to stay on FDR Drive.
As Shapiro broke down, usually you need a distinct additional company or enterprise other than the enterprise that's, you know, Diddy. He can't be his own.
Keep right to stay on FDR Drive.
It just can't be him, basically. But then they used R. Kelly to show that that's how they pretty much got him, as a one-man Rico. So they reference, the prosecutors keep talking about Kelly versus the government, because that's how they got him on a one-man Rico, that he was doing all this stuff, right? So today, though, they broke down how basically it's just a group effort. If you have a group of people, like for instance, if you look it up, guys, there's been police offices that have been indicted with a RICO because the officers were in unison committing a crime, right? So the problem is we don't know the law, I guess, and it's the technicality. So the way they broke it down today, they made it so clear that the one-man organization, because you also, when you have a corporation, the corporation is established, so it's not you, it's its own entity anyway. So that kills that other argument, I guess. So since he had, and they also pointed out in court today that Combs Enterprise is not the same as Combs Enterprises. I think the name of his corporation that he had established and they were running was called Combs Enterprises, but the government, for the RICO, or the racketeering, they have labeled it as Combs Enterprise. So a lot of those distinctions were made today in court. Yeah, so I'm gonna have some attorneys on to really question them about these things. Perhaps I'll have them come on tonight and break it down so you can understand a little bit more. But think about this, right? And this is what I was talking about this morning. This is what's scary to me. Now, I wouldn't be able to deal with one of these predicate acts, folks. I wouldn't be sleeping at night. I'd be stressed out. I'd be losing the little hair I do have left. You know, I wouldn't have to shave again ever because I'd be stressed out just with one. And they broke down so many on Diddy, and then each predicate act has its own duality, or so many of them. Like, just pick two. That's the way she broke it down. I mean, It's that simple, folks. She made it seem like, from what I gather, just 2 instances of drugs. There you go. That could be a Rico. That's 2 crimes. I mean, how do you pull this off? You know, I don't know. I can't wait to see how this is gonna go tomorrow with the defense, closing arguments, and then which way the jury goes with this. But we're in a dilemma now because, well, it's not a dilemma, but now your personal sex life, or I shouldn't use that word, intercourse life or whatever, all that's on the table. And let's say you're dating somebody or you're paying somebody to fly and meet you in Las Vegas. All of that stuff now is open game. All this OnlyFans, and then also Shannon Sharp. I mean, I don't know much about the case, you know, what have you, but all of that opens you up for now a federal investigation. And if you have to come in here and face what Diddy faced, you're gonna be in for it. Not only that, who can afford to pay for like 9 to 11 attorneys? And we're talking about Brian Steele, folks. Nicole Westmoreland. Like, these are not people that you can get for $3.50 an hour and come to court and fight for you. You know, not everybody can do that. But believe me, a big part of it is about fraud. And basically, they brought out again today, they pulled her diary, and in the notes, she basically was keeping track. Like, you know, a lot of women do that, a lot of men do it. But she was expressing, and this was 2 years ago, before anybody knew anything about Diddy catching a case. She was just writing her personal notes, and the feds got a hold of it. In her notes, she's saying Diddy is a pathological liar. He keeps telling me to fly to, let's say, Miami to be with him. And every time I get there, he's throwing me into the room with a sex worker. Bro, they got that from her notes, man. And those notes are exhibits in court. Everything is on the table. So now, even if some days, you're going to be facing that for guys that think that they can just tell a girl anything and running game. And they said that's the fraud, the way you're playing girls. That's the fraud. That's lying about a material fact, folks. So if you want to be out here being a Casanova, thinking you could just tell a girl, yeah, come spend some time with me, and then you want to try to throw on an orgy or some bull, the feds it's not going to be pretty what they're going to do to you. And it's probably a good thing, because people are reckless anyway. But you know, it's just crazy that I think one of the brothers was just saying in the chat, he was pointing out, let's see here, Curtis is saying, you know, you guys got to listen to Curtis. All the stuff that you see happening, they use R. Kelly to smoke Diddy, man. I'm telling you, I'm in court, I hear it. They're using, and from what I understand, because Shapiro is definitely on the top of her game, but she was making it seem like, you know, listen, when it comes to racketeering, I think by design it would be more like one crime family versus another. So you need, like, in order to have a Rico, what most of us would think just by watching movies and not knowing the law, we say, oh, Gambino versus Gotti, you know, and they're both killing each other's men because they're trying to make money and they're trying to control the area, right? You would think that that's what racketeering and all that is about. And maybe Gotti is somewhere upstate untouchable, and he speaks in codes, and he keeps his finger clean, and the feds can't get to him, so they hit him with conspiracy, right? That's what we think. But after, it seems like, I don't know if they hit Harvey Weinstein with the Rico. I'll have to do the research. But they definitely got R. Kelly. And now, out of all the cases, what they're trying to put the screws to Diddy with, they have to reference R. Kelly case to make their point. That is scary to me. I mean, listen, whether Diddy did, that's a separate thing right now. I'm talking about on a bigger scale. It's kind of like what Curtis was saying. These cases, they set a precedence, and now they're in your personal bedroom. And under this new administration, things are changing like extremely. I don't know, maybe it's just me, folks, but the stuff is starting to look a little bit scary. But the key is, I guess you just have to behave yourself. Did they say anything about his influence on his children, especially his sons, since one has a case as well? No, nothing about that. You know what I noticed about this case, Sakina? And Sakina, shout out to you. Sakina is near and dear to my heart. Sakina and I, we're from an environment of debating and opening people's minds. So that's we have a history together. But anyway, as far as that goes, Sakina, they didn't talk about his children. And you know what they didn't talk about? Is Kim Porter. Now, and I don't want to talk about her either. You know, rest in peace. But I will say this. The only thing that they insinuated about, they brought up Kim one time that I recall vividly. And basically when Cassie testified, they were like, well, what's Diddy's alias? And Diddy's alias was Frank Black, Frank White. You know, Biggie used to rap about Frank White. I have to go back. I keep saying I'm going to listen to what Biggie was saying now about Frank White, because now it takes on a meaning to me. I always thought that Frank White was Biggie's alias. I don't know. I just thought he was just, that was one of his rapper names. I don't know. I was so young I wasn't paying attention. But Cassie's alias was Jackie Starr, right? So, they brought out that same alias was used for Kim Porter. And when I heard that, I said, you know, and then they said she would, you know, they would, obviously if that's your wife, your girlfriend, or whatever, you go to a hotel. But they started to go there, and then they pulled back from it, and I'm like, good, let her rest in peace, man. And her kids are involved. Let them be. She can't come and testify, just leave that alone. So, but it was interesting that maybe that Jackie Starr was just a name, because basically, let me explain to you guys on a different level, right? They explain, they have the person from the hotel, the desk, come and testify. And let's say they had a female, had a male come, but they explain that, let's say Diddy has his alias, and let's say we're going back 10 years ago. His alias was Frank Black, but Diddy came up with a new alias within the last 2 years. So now you only see the latest alias. Let's say the new alias is Frank White. You won't see Frank Black. You won't see a history on Frank Black, because when you're a celebrity, or even, you know, I guess an average Joe, if you want an alias for your room, you know, I guess people, when they're out there cheating on their mates or whatever, they want to put an alias up. The hotels, they accommodate that. So Diddy had an alias. So maybe, I'm saying for the room, the alias for the female would always be Jackie Starr. So that's why Cassie was known as that. And also it was they testified that Kim Porter had the same alias. So that's the only conclusion that you know, I could come to about it. Let's see what people are saying here. Yeah, Mel. Yeah, that was very interesting, Bordox. Right on. Influence, silence victims, restrict their ability to work in a... Yeah, definitely, Cindy. That's a big problem. Very big problem. But guys, let me tell you something. Going to this complete trial, I was able to pick up on things. I was putting together 2 and 2. Let me give you an example of something that I put together. Cassie testified first, and she came in and she said, you know, I'm talking about the Kid Cudi matter. So she told it from her reference point. And so Cassie is saying that Diddy told her, you know, he told her that he wanted to blow up Kid Cudi's car, and he wanted to do it while he was on vacation, while Diddy was on vacation, I believe. He wanted it to happen while he was gone. And Cassie also says that Diddy wanted the car to blow up in front of Kid Cudi's friends. Okay, so that's her testimony. So then when Kid Cudi comes on and he tells his story, and then Capricorn Clark come on and tell her story, they start to jive, and then you'd be like, oh Lord, this is a problem, folks. Their stories are jiving. Now, I will tell you that's not something to write home about, and I'll tell you why. Mia, Deontay Nash, the little stylist guy, Cassie, these people were talking they still talking. They were talking all the way up throughout this trial. Like, why would you let them talk? They all have a similar story. They're all testifying about the same event surrounding Diddy, right? You want to give Diddy a fair trial? Why do you allow them to just keep talking to each other? Now, the girl Bonna that testified that Diddy had her hanging off the balcony like Suge Knight allegedly had, what's the guy named, Vanilla Ice hanging off the balcony. She came in and she testified. Number one, Nicole Westmoreland showed that basically she lied about the date, at least, right? Because she said it happened on September 26, 2016, early in the morning. Well, the attorney for Diddy showed that Diddy was actually in New York staying at the Trump Plaza, Trump Hotel, during the same time. So that was a lie. You know, they should have took that on Maury.
In 600 feet, keep right to continue on Harlem River Drive.
What's the name of that show? Is it Maury Povich or something like that? And the answer is she's a liar. You know what I mean? Like, they should have brought it on there.
Keep right to continue on Harlem River Drive.
Who was basically heavy on drugs, she was sort of a supplier. In fact, Nicole Westmoreland said that her and Cassie were drug partners. She would find the drugs and Cassie would buy them. But basically, let me make sure I'm going the right way here. Oh boy, here we go. Let's see, George Washington Bridge. Okay, cool, I'm going the right way. But anyway, this girl Bonnet came in. You know what she testified, folks? She said that her and Cassie made up a story. Like, so they wanted to. So let me give you guys the context, right? Cassie came out with her lawsuit, and all of her friends saw it. Bonna, Mia, and people that weren't even her friends, but just people in Diddy's life. Jane says, oh, she read it, and it basically was reminiscent of her entire experience with Diddy, because Diddy basically was doing the same thing with the same chicks, right? Okay? So, when Cassie came out with that lawsuit and sued for that 20 million, got to 20 million within 24 hours, that's when Bonna and Cassie, I guess, started to collude together, and they came up with the whole story about the balcony. So that's why the date's not jiving, because she testified in court that they made the story up. Oh, this hotel got a balcony? Oh, but my apartment's on the 17th floor. It has a balcony. Okay, we're going to tell them it happened at the balcony. Oh, what day did it happen? I don't remember, girl. Oh, yeah, we'll say it happened around Christmas. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. So you see what I'm saying? So that came out in court. So, as a defense, I would, and I'm not an attorney. I'd be a backyard attorney. I probably would do a damn good job too. But I would want to really stress that point that if they made up this story and it was under oath, and she admitted that Cassie was a part of making up the story, I mean, how much of Cassie's testimony can we really take, you know? Since I'm talking about the case, I'm just giving you guys, I'm not trying to be biased in any way, but I'm just saying I'm going through different points of the case since I'm out here stuck in traffic, you know what I mean? Oh, guys, check it out. Over here, they're playing sports at the King's Academy over there. Those guys playing soccer. New York, there's not a lot of green grass. You know, I grew up in the South where you could go out there running in the fields. The kids, at least my nieces and nephews or whatever, these kids, they don't like to, they don't run in the fields like I used to growing up and all that stuff. They have all the technology and stuff. So, but anyway, yeah, so let's see what the people are saying. And then I'll get back to a little bit more. This is going to be tough as well as a good one for them to decide. Sakina, I know how you think, Sakina, and I know you're a debater and you're a deep thinker, so I think you understand. I mean, what you're saying is this is going to be a tough one to win, right, Sakina? Like, Sakina, they have so much on the guy, it's overwhelming. Listen, sometimes my grandmother used to sit down with me and tell me about the things I was doing wrong, and 15 minutes seemed like a long time. So imagine if somebody can tell you what you need to work on, not work on, but crimes you committed, and they can break it down for 6 or 7 hours. And she had to stop herself because I guess she, you know, time was running out, but she had probably another 5 more pages in the chamber, folks. Yeah, they cut it short. That's how much stuff they had on Diddy. And they didn't charge him with everything they had. They charged him with what they think they can get him life on. And believe you me, folks, they're trying to get him in there for life, and they're going to try to take all his assets. And let me tell you this other thing about this whole pardon. Everybody's talking about, what's this attorney that brought all these charges, all these civil cases against Diddy? He also brought the case against Jay-Z. I couldn't think of his name. I thought of it this morning, but I'm so tired now I can't even think straight. Bugsby. Oh, it came to me, folks. The old guy still has a few brains. I still got it in me. Bugsby. You know, look up how much he donates to Trump and his friendship with Donald Trump. And then also look up what 50 Cent is doing in regards to Diddy and allegedly trying to block Trump from entertaining the thought of a pardon. You see what I'm saying? So it gets very complicated. The media tell you anything, but when you do some research, check out Bugsby and how much he's donated to Trump. And he has all these cases against Diddy. It's in his interest to keep Diddy jammed up like he is. You see what I'm saying? So it's not a 1, 2, 3. But they're going for life, and believe me, folks, I don't want to say too much, folks, but you guys been following my channel. Some of you guys, I don't think you think I'm out there crazy. I try to be as accurate as possible, but listen, when they come in there with 10 predicate acts that they break down, and then they say just one of them has happened 100 times, and all you need is 2 of the one. Lord have mercy. Lord have mercy, man. He gonna need TD Jakes to come in there and pray for him tonight, man. You know, that's facts, right? I think that's his pastor, or was his pastor or something. He gonna need some pastoring. He gonna need some prayers tonight, man. I can't even get away with a speeding ticket upstate New York. You know what I'm saying? You go in there with a speeding ticket, number one, and I hope I'm not offending anybody, but the average judge upstate is about 110 years old. And believe me, he not giving you no slack, you know? Some of those guys in there, man, Probably old as Methuselah. You know what I mean? Some of these judges upstate New York, you go in there thinking you're going to get your speeding ticket knocked out. They be like, you're going to pay the fine and you're going to get your points and go do your class, and we might give you a 1 point off if you go take this class. So imagine if you doing reckless stuff, please, man, please. And if you're a person of color, you might as well go and wrap it up, man. All right, let me go back to being non-biased, folks. I did it again. I'm sorry, folks. I went back to talking too much about my personal thoughts. I'm sorry, guys, but I live a reality, folks. I'm from the South, and you try that down south, Lord, try this stuff in Virginia, where I'm from, and let me tell you what's gonna happen to you. Let me tell you what's in the Commonwealth, forced labor, a freak off in Virginia. Lord have mercy, man. That'll be your last freak off. I remember in Virginia they was giving you an electric chair, you know. When I was growing up, I don't think they do that as much anymore. But yeah, folks. You're not getting away with anything in the South. I mean, I've been gone 30 years, but I imagine it's the same way. And here's the problem: if you don't have a good attorney, you can kiss her goodbye. You know, like even for this case, right? Let's talk about it. The conviction rate, I looked it up. They say it's between 90 to 95% on a good day. So let's say it's 95%. You have a 5% chance of beating the case. So what affects that number is that people take a plea deal, I would imagine. Because there is a rumor, once these attorneys tell you, oh man, you know there, Bo, there's only a 5% chance of you winning. You know, so a lot of people probably take the plea deal. Diddy say he want to fight it, plus he has the money. But rumor has it online now, I'm just telling you, he paid at least $10 million. Whew, Lord have mercy, man. Who has $10 million to fight a case, you know? And look at Harvey Weinstein. I think he went back to the pump for a little bit of more water, and they put the screws to him again. So the key is, there's so many different odds against us in life in general, just as humans right now. I mean, there's so many changes coming through. And at first, when Trump took office, everybody was talking about these changes. And then if you look at all the movie stars that are now running the government, you know, the guy from Moonlight and Hawaii Five-0 is running the Navy, and you have One Life to Live, the doctor, he's running another cabinet. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, and they're coming up. I just found out today that, what's his name, Kennedy, said no more vaccines. Like, what is... I haven't been following like I usually do because I've been in this courtroom all day with no cell phone, you know. But yeah, we're living in a very unique time, and we don't need to have the image, especially of black men in America, going downhill. And that's what's happening, because now you have Suge Knight. I could go on and on. Now we're, and like I told you guys 3 weeks ago, this case is going to set things in motion for pretty much your ball players, anybody with a decent amount of money. They're going to throw that Rico on you, and you'll be just as broke as you'll be lucky if you have 2 nickels to rub together by the time they get done with you. And so now you have already, right? We haven't even, this case is not ended. And trust me, Fat Joe, because I found out, I have one of the guys at work, he's an attorney here in this courthouse, and he was telling me how it works. The feds, they pick up a lot of their cases off of the media. So don't be surprised if you hear about any of the guys with these new civil cases. Why do I have my blinkers on? I mean my wipers on. Anyway, you know, so we probably see other cases develop, and I'll be coming down covering. They're gonna keep me busy with cases, it look like, you know. And I'll definitely go to I'll travel, but hopefully, I mean, what's the guy's name? Tyler Perry. Like, with all that he's accomplished, right? And now he has a case. I mean, you know, he's being sued. Like, why can't the guy go out with a good legacy? Why can't Michael Jackson go out with a good legacy? You know, why did Marvin Gaye have to go out under such a bad circumstance? Why did Prince have to go out the way that he did? Why are all of the guys who were running the show when I was graduating around 95, why are all these guys locked up now? Why did Bill Cosby, Mr. America, have to take that hit, you know? There's something major here, and I don't think it's a conspiracy necessarily. It can be, but I think that there's a problem with people and their behavior. But I think also other people are doing things bad too, but there may be some leniency, and that's why we don't hear about, you know. Now a lot of people are talking about like the Bunny Ranch or whatever you call it. But, you know, some people die and their name is intact, but a lot of these guys are going down. And they're adding to the list. I wouldn't be surprised if by the end of this week we hear about another celebrity, you know, with allegations. And now we have men. Usually it's been women that have come forward talking about what men have done to them. In the case of Fat Joe and Tyler Perry, it's men. So, you know, this is a problem that touches everyone. You know, it really does, folks. Michelle's in the house. What's up, Michelle? Okay. Yeah, I'll be covering, I'll be out there for Brian Koberger, guys. So I'll be out there. I'll see you guys out there. Yes, sir, Eric. We got to talk about it, man, because, you know, here's the thing. I'm an investor, so I do a lot of research, but I'm constantly investing and looking at things. I really have to look at it very closely. Like even this case, my take on it would probably be mind-boggling because I have to look at, you know, I have to hedge my risk. Like with my type of risk, if I take my risk that I employ in the market, I wouldn't be going to this verdict. No way under the sun. But then again, too, I wouldn't be out here having a freak off because I know people. That's the thing I've always understood, and hopefully you don't take it the wrong way, folks. But I learned that people have no problems, especially let's say they move away from you or they don't. Somebody's trying to call me. You know, people. Okay. Let's say people, you can have friends, but at some point you grow apart and they have no problems telling your business. Sometimes your family members, you confide in them and you tell them, hell, you know, I'm going through this in my marriage. My kids are this way. I'm battling this illness. I'm having financial problems. Whatever you tell them, it's okay when everything is good. But at some point, let's say you give them money on a regular basis and you say, you know what, I'm going to stop giving my money. And now they got a problem with you, and then you start hearing your personal business in the street, folks. That's just how it goes. So you're out here messing around with strangers, and you don't think that these videos are going to get out or somebody's going to come back and tell on you. You got to be out of your rabid mind. People tell, people make up stuff on you, so you know if they have some real dirt on you, they're gonna tell on you. That's just a fact. So that's what's happening. Like Fat Joe, his hype man. I mean, I don't know anything about the case, but it's always the person that's close to you that's gonna be the person that can bring you some of that humble pie, because they know all the secrets. You know what I'm saying? And especially if their finances, that came out in court. Like, this guy's playing his music loud. Like, I want to hear this nonsense, and I can't even talk to you guys because he's just having a party, a one-man band party over here. But at any rate, this came out in the case as far as under cross-examination, especially with Brian Steele, because he's that thorough. But people run into financial problems, but they're used to being around you at some point. They were in Diddy's fold, Diddy spending all sorts of money. Then also you get money from other people who respect you because you're with Diddy, or maybe they feel like they want to bless you because you can help them get close to Diddy, whatever that reason could be. And now, like a Capricorn Clark, she talked about she has a special needs son. And one time she was in France with Rihanna, but now her reality is probably somewhere in an apartment making very little money compared to what she did while being in Diddy's presence. You don't think a person like that is going to say, well, yeah, this happened to me too. Let me go get some of that bag. Like, that, doesn't that make sense, folks? I mean, am I wrong? It makes sense, right? So we see that a lot now, especially if you, like Fat Joe, I see his show. He's the one that's really pushed this podcast thing, you know. Maybe the guys, his hype man, don't have the kind of money circulating anymore. He see Cassie's story, say, oh yeah, that sounds similar. Or what about Bonner? They made up stories. Like, who's to say people, look what happened with Jay-Z. I'm actually in court every day with the reporter who covered who interviewed the girl who brought on those allegations against Jay-Z. But yeah, so a lot of things are happening, and it can be terrifying, you know what I mean? That's why you have to believe people, because most people show you who they are. Absolutely. They do.
In 1.5 miles. Take the exit on the left.
Michelle, you hit the nail on the head, you know? Bordock says, trust no one. Yeah, I mean, Diddy, listen, let me tell you guys something. I've been to trial every day. Diddy comes out. I always, you know, have a little interaction. He'll say something, I'll say something back. I have no problems, whatever. It is what it is. Somebody speak to me, I'm speaking back. You know, I'm not a guy you can easily intimidate. You know, the family, I'm around his family. Like today, I was there with them for lunch. I'm interacting with his kids, his mom. You know, we've been together for 7 weeks now, so I'm not gonna not talk to them because somebody might go back and say, oh, he talked to Diddy's friend. You think I care about that? You got the wrong guy for that, you know? I'm gonna talk to anybody. I'll talk, you know, anybody speak to me, I speak back. I'm from the South. We speak to anybody. You know, if you behaving yourself, we can definitely talk, folks. But I'm not allowing people to sway me just because they have some opinion. But here's my point. Where are all the people? I mean, you know, Diddy, technically, he has not been found guilty yet. Where are all the people that were in his life? Nobody really showed up. Kanye West came. I had a heads up that he was coming. That's how come I was able to get the video. G Dep was there. I interviewed G Dep. I'm gonna have him on the channel soon, because he has a very unique story. You know, as you know, he was locked up, but he's coming out with an album and so forth, so I'll have him on the channel. When you guys get to hear his story though, and how he ended up turning himself in, going to prison and all that. You guys are going to be happy about that interview when I bring him on. But you could go to my shorts and see the video where I interviewed him briefly. He's coming out with an album July the 4th, I believe. So, yeah, that's pretty interesting. Yeah, but anyway, there's very few people. I mean, his family is there now. His mother's always been there. His kids have been supportive, but I haven't seen not one person come in there and sit on that bench other than G. Depp and Kanye West. So that tells you, I guess it tells you a lot about the man. Maybe it's all bruised relationships. Maybe people are just concerned about what others are going to think about them. But you think these people that are now millionaires, they wouldn't be so concerned about, and a lot of them are not even popping anymore. Like, what is it going to hurt you to come in there and just sit on the bench? You can't even really talk to the guy, but just it just goes to show that people will leave you high and dry, you know. Now we can debate about, yeah, he did a lot of stuff, boom, boom, boom. I wouldn't go in there and support him either. I get that. But you would think that some people would show up regardless and support the guy, you know. Not necessarily support him, but just show up, show their face. Maybe it might make a little difference of some sort, but not even that, folks. Not even that. Yep, let's see. Most people don't understand or remove the people that don't have their back. Now you have an enemy in your camp. Yep, so true, so true. Bordock's hard lesson learned, yeah. Yep. I mean, some days it was very slim picking, like his mother would come and maybe one son. Charlucci, which is Diddy's friend, he showed up every day. Like, there's a lot to be said about that. He's showing up every day, you know. Where are all the people, man? Not one, you know. There's not one big name that just came. Kanye West didn't even make it to the bed. He didn't even make it inside the courtroom, but at least he showed up. They were actually talking about him in court the day before, so that probably wasn't the best idea, but at least he showed up. You know, showed up. But I think in general, man, a lot of people don't show up that you think would show up when you're going through stuff, you know. Yeah, but that's something. But anyway, getting back to the case, it's just mind-boggling that. Here's another thing, right? We had this ex-worker come in there. His name was the Punisher. And everybody, you know, that name sparks a lot of bells, you know. But he came in, he testified that he would receive money from Diddy and Cassie to come and do his little thing. But he said, let me tell you a few unique things about him. And I'll tell you what I don't like about the guy. I don't like the fact, I'll tell you that first. I don't like the fact that the case is still going on and he leaves the court, give his testimony, and then he's just allowed to go right on CNN and tell all the details that he testified about in court. But they have the family under a gag order, but you allow your witnesses to come in and go on CNN, and then they all go on a campaign. Every day I'm seeing a new sex worker being interviewed by somebody. And some of these guys, how would you even know if they even met Diddy before? Like, you know, people will put anybody out there. Somebody say, oh yeah, I'm Peter, I'm St. Peter. And they'll put them right out there, you know. Don't have a clue what St. Peter's all about, but they just do anything. But anyway, he's on CNN talking this talk, but he incriminated Diddy. I'll tell you how. He said that he would receive 800, 1,200, and 2,000, and he never knew what made the difference in the amount of money he would get for having sex, you know. So look, so there you go. There's a predicate act. You got a predicate. Diddy has a predicate act walking around out here on everybody's channel that'll probably, you just pay him a fee and he'll come on your channel and tell you what Diddy did. That's a predicate act. Prostitution right there. He's one of the ones that they're talking about that, you know, they had him on the picture. He's one of the 27, right? But let me tell you how he incriminated Diddy. Diddy was very careful. There was some this is all based on court, okay? There were some circumstances, and guys, I've been in court every day, even jury selection, just so you know, I'm not just some random guy that showed up to court here and there, maybe went to the overflow. No, I've been in that old courtroom. I've had enough of that courtroom, guys. And, I don't know if I could do this again. 7 weeks straight of getting up at 3 o'clock in the morning. I commute an hour and a half each way. Like, it's insanity. Mostly I've caught the train. But anyway, let me get to the point. This guy, so technically for the sex workers that came in, they testified Cassie would hand them the money, right? And in certain circumstances, Diddy, I feel like I'm coming down with a cold or having some allergies, so I probably sound weird, but it is what it is, folks. So Cassie would be the one exchanging the money. Also, Diddy would have Cassie in certain circumstances confirm whether the guy was a cop or not. Like, they're really going to tell you, right? But this guy said that one time that he was making out, him and Cassie was getting down, and it was so good to Diddy that he took the money and he slammed it on the bed. He says, I love this shit is amazing, or something like that. And that's the one time that he received the money directly from Diddy, because Diddy slammed the cash on the bed and he picked it up. So you see how easy, you see how that ties Diddy into actually, he can't have that argument now that he never paid, that it was only Cassie. You see what I'm saying? See how little things go down. That's a little point that could make a big difference, because it takes away the argument. See what I mean? So that's something that came out. Also, his name, the Punisher, I think most people in court thought that name came from his bedroom activity, like a nickname. But he testified that name came from playing basketball here in New York at the Rutgers. When he was a teenager, I guess he was punishing people on the basketball court. And that's where that name came from. So that's just a little bit about the Punisher guy. Okay, let's see what people are saying. You thought he didn't pick it up? That's not what the guy testified. Whether he did or not, I didn't hear it out of Diddy's mouth. I don't think Cassie, I don't recall her mentioning it, but that's what he testified. All right, let's see. I was going to ask you about divorce this morning. I thought you were not well. Yeah, definitely. Well, you know, in the courtroom, that's the big problem. Every day somebody's coughing over your shoulder. It's just, yeah, it's just a matter of time. Yeah, the Punisher said a lot. Okay, not only CNN, News Nation, and so many other YouTube channels. He is well-spoken. Yeah, well-spoken. I would agree to that. And you know, he came in, he wore a suit. He looked like he was just, he was presenting himself the best that he could. Like he made sure to come in and try to leave everybody with a favorable impression of him, you know? That's something I noticed about the guy, the Punisher. I'm not sure if he's still making his rounds, but I know he was on camera on the May show maybe like 2 weeks ago. Says, Michelle says, probably wasn't a real relationship, not friends. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Superficial, yeah. Because I'm pretty sure people have individuals that, well, no matter what you go through, they'll at least try to show up or at least reach out to you. Okay, very good. All right, Sakina Ra, thank you. Yeah, so right, Michelle, be mindful of people you put your trust in. No loyalty, right? Yeah, yeah, yeah. Absolutely. So, I guess we'll just have to see what happens tomorrow. Tomorrow, just to give you guys a layout, tomorrow we have the defense are going to do their closing argument in the morning. I think the judge says we'll start at 9 o'clock. The good thing is I don't have to go stand in line anymore. That's such a good feeling, folks. I don't have to start my day at 3 o'clock anymore. It took me a while to get there. But at least for the days that I can do it, I'm enjoying the ride, especially for the verdict watch, because just so you guys know, for verdict watch, I'll be doing that with Tasha K. I'll be doing it with several people. So stay tuned. I'll be broadcasting it on the channel. But tomorrow, after the closing arguments from the defense, then the judge is going to give the jury instructions, and he's going to go through what the law says in regards to this case. And that's how she started off. The girl today, she started off strong. She was like, yeah, and the judge is going to tell you this and break this down for you. And she started breaking down what the law was, and that's when I started to see a real big problem for the case. And that's when I realized that, they're aiming for life. And I think in the minds, and I'm just giving you just a little insight. I think in the minds of those, well, I can't speak on somebody else's mind, but I'm just saying, I think that they feel sure that they can pull off a guilty plea on a guilty verdict, rather, on all counts. That's what they're honing in for, and it seems that they're very confident. Let me tell you that Comey, she's so strong. I mean, she came back on the cross-examination of this agent the other day, folks. I tried to tell you. She says, whatever the agent's name was, she was like, did Mr. Combs fly? She raised her voice. She's like, did he fly this such and such sex worker from New York to LA? And the defense says objection, but the guy, he let out that yes. And one thing we learned in court is a term, you can't unring the bell. So that's the strategy I noticed that some of the attorneys use. They'll say some things, they know it's going to cause an objection, but the words are already out. So, it's a strategy that the attorneys use, not only in this case, I saw it a lot in Donald Trump's case. They would ring that bell, and, once those words are out there, you can't stuff them back in, right? So, Mel, do they talk anymore about the guns with the cert? Yeah, that's what they talked about today, brother. Man, Eric, you must be in the courtroom. You're right on the money with all of your questions. So today, they brought up the guns, and they talked about, I didn't pick it up when they brought in the guns and they actually showed the guns, and they showed you they showed the jury, basically, rather, that the serial numbers were etched off, right? And they had various testimonies about that. They made it appear as though guns were only picked up at one residence. I mean, or maybe I didn't pick it up properly. But today, they showed that, when they picked up guns at least 2 locations, I believe. But I will tell you this, under cross-examination, when they talked to the agents that actually took the guns from Homeland Security, one of the things that they brought out is that I think they were trying to testify that when they go to the property, the first thing they do is they take pictures, and then they spread out. Let's say they put the guns out, and then they commandeer. They take it into their possession. Well, Brian Steele brought out, basically by way of the agent, that they didn't take the step. They have no pictures of the guns inside the safe. They only have their first pictures of the guns are the guns being laid out on the. Some of them were on 2 end chairs, but that was a big point of contention. Like, you guys are professionals, but you can't tell us. Nobody seems to know. At least the guy that came and testified in court, he can't tell you where the guns were. Were they inside because Diddy had gun safes, right? And here's the other thing that I picked up on, and no one has said anything about, or maybe I just missed it. It could have been, but I don't think so. Diddy always had Fahim handling his money, and so sometimes Diddy would be asking for, like, I need 5,000, and the guy would go to the safe and get it, or whatever they were doing preparing for a freak off. They would go to the security guard, and the security guard would have the cold cash. And also, Diddy gave for the video to go away. He paid for the video to go away to Eddie Garcia. He gave them $100,000 in cold cash. But I noticed that when his houses were raided, they itemized everything that was in those safes, but I didn't hear anything about large amounts of money. So I'm like, did they just happen to hit him when he had no money? Like, that's weird to me, you know. So I said I was gonna go back and look in the transcript just to double check, but I don't recall them saying, because they did show some pictures of things that were collected, but I didn't see any mass amount of money. Even when he was arrested in New York City at the hotel, I recall the different items. They show you the baby oil. Now, believe you, whether money's there or not, that baby oil is there. Believe that. And that Astroglide, that's always going to be in the mix. Believe that. So, yeah. So when it came to these guns, though, that's the argument that was made by Brian Steele, is that the guns were found inside the security room. So, you know, I guess it's not illegal to have rifles or what have you. Now, the defacing, I didn't hear a lot about that. As far as, they didn't make a big deal about it. Even going through today in the predicate acts, it was mentioned about the guns and him having guns. But again, I know the defense is going to come back and easily correct them again. Because even though, here's the thing, even though the prosecutors know that Bonner was basically, her testimony was decimated about Diddy hanging her over the balcony, and they really showed how Diddy wasn't even in town. Today, when the prosecutor went through her predicate acts, she brought that up like, you know, it's something that happened, and I would have thought they would have taken that off because of the way it was handled in court. But no, she mentioned that, and because at that time she suffered with some bruising on her leg and I believe on her back, and then Cassie also. So, but they presented that in court today. Also, the money that Eddie Garcia received at the court asked for that as evidence. No, but what they do have in evidence is basically when that whole incident happened where Eddie Garcia, hold on one second, somebody's calling me again. When the whole situation happened with Eddie Garcia, Diddy agreed that he would give them the $50,000, And once the manager, it wasn't Eddie, but it was Eddie's manager that was the one that really wanted to make the deal and get the money. He was like, we'll do it for 50 grand. Once they solidified that deal, Diddy asked for all of their driver's license, a picture of it. So they have showed that in court, but we figure that money is long gone. And I think today in court, because that's one of the predicate acts as far as bribery, and basically they were just highlighting the fact that Diddy told Eddie Garcia once he gave him the money, don't go make any major purchases, because if we are investigated and they see you went out and purchased a new car or something, it's going to have the feds on
In
your
600
back.
feet, use the left 2 lanes to take exit 24 for I-95 South US.
So guys, you see
1
why
south toward George Washington Bridge West 179th Street.
you see why I don't like driving. Look how long it's taken me to get from lower Manhattan just to get to the George Washington Bridge. You see what I mean? I would have been home already had I taken the train. But again, today was a unique day. I had to do this. But New York traffic, if I had to do this every day for the last 7 weeks, man, I'd be out of my mind right now. This is so crazy. Every day doing this, and guess what? Most of these people that are surrounding me right now,
Use the left 2 lanes to take exit
they do
24.
this every day. They're going to and from work. They live upstate and so forth and so on. They're feeding their families and following their dreams. But I would rather do it on the train. But again, on the train, you have people sneezing and coughing and all sorts of, things going on. So, yeah, so when it comes to the money, that money was probably spent, before it was all cash. So, they probably, they blew through that cash or did whatever they had to do, Hopefully that answered your question, Eric. Shout out to you, Eric.
Continue
man.
on I-95
Always,
South for half a mile.
Appreciate the brothers that support, man. It's a good deal. Usually, most of the guys that I've seen, I'm just telling you, they come on, they be trolling and they be talking mad junk or whatever. So when I see the brothers come through, man, and we can have brothers in the group, in the comment section, that's a good feeling, man. Especially if we're all trying to build together and have some good synergy, folks. Michelle, let's see, you're talking to Cindy. Yeah, Eric, I mean that straight up, man, straight like that. Let's see, also the money, Cindy, wow, Michelle, this is so nice, was more than one. Okay. Yeah, if you guys have any questions, feel free. I'll tell you what I recall. I probably have another 10 minutes before I'll go through Bear Mountain and I'll lose all my reception. So we have a good 10 minutes left, folks. And that'll be it for today. I will be going on a couple channels tonight, though. I'll be going on Fresh and Fit to give a summation of today, so probably around 8 o'clock, I would imagine. I'm going to be doing the Verdict Watch with Tasha K, so you can check me out over there. I think I said that earlier. Let's see. And a few other channels, stations, and whatnot. All right, I'll definitely hit you up, Eric. My best friend lives in Dallas, Texas. I have a relative that's on the Cowboys. I'm a Cowboy fan, so I'll definitely be coming down to check out. I'll have some access to the Cowboy game, perhaps, so that'll be pretty great. I've been to Dallas before. I've never been to Houston, though. Dallas is such a flat place. I don't think I've ever been. Well, when I went to Dubai, it was very flat out there too, though. But Dallas takes the cake. And also, The attorney that I do shows with. Actually, no, that's where you are, I believe. He represents, I believe, Yellow Beezy. So I'm going to be covering that case, Yellow Beezy, I believe. So I'll definitely be in Houston. I think that is in that area. If I'm not mistaken. Yeah, oh yeah, Los Angeles. Oh, I've never been to Los Angeles. But you guys had all the activity with the Diddy's case happening out there in LA. Yep, that's where it happens. Okay, so you, Eric, grew up in LA too, huh? Okay, good deal. Bodak says, Mel, I may not be there due to bedtime tonight. Okay, you have to work. All right. Enjoy your night. Be safe. Yeah, you have to get that rest, you know. Look at this guy here. He in the middle of the street. Have you ever seen anything like this before? Man, oh man. Wow. Oh wow, this is a trend here. I've never seen this.
In 600 feet, take the ramp.
Wow, I've never seen that before. So guys, this is the George Washington Bridge. If you come to New York, I would suggest take the upper level, guys. You can get around much better with the upper level. It depends on where you're going, but I'm hopping on
Use the left lane to take the Interstate 95 upper level south ramp, then merge onto I-95 upper level south.
Yeah, I'm going up the Palisades, so I take the upper level. But if you're gonna take 95, going back down south or what have you, you take the upper level.
Continue for 1.5 miles.
I'll be losing reception here pretty soon, but it's been nice hanging out. Trying to give you guys some insight on what I saw and heard throughout this trial. How much time you think you're going to get? You mean that Diddy's going to get? I think they're trying to give him life. That's what I see. That's what they're trying to do. But you know what I have a problem with? I don't see Brian Steele and Nicole Westmoreland. They both just won like super big cases. I find it hard to believe that they would take a case they can't win. Right? Yeah, Young Thug, like that's a super, like he's legendary off of Young Thug alone. I mean, that's what put him on the map for me. I mean, I don't know about you, but everybody thinks this. I mean, he's an incredible guy, man, and she is incredible too. But you know, it's quite possible that they know some things that we don't know, and that I think it's very possible though to get a hung jury. That's I've been saying that all along. To win it straight up, maybe they have this thing mapped out. But to people like myself that sit there and hear the government break down all these things and the conspiracy, like I keep saying, conspiracy, I try to illustrate it to me as like carbon monoxide. You know, it'll take you right out and you never know what hit you. You know, people never figure out like what's going on. You just know you're being cooked. You know what I mean? That's what I see. So a lot of these guys, these drug dealers, they get conspiracy charges, and because they're doing dirt and they have them texting and they're caught up in the mix. That just happened to some guys I know out of Newburgh. One of the guys was actually in prison. He picked up another 20 years. He was just about to come home this year. And he got hit with that conspiracy, you know. And it all based on a couple phone calls from the jailhouse talking about some drug deals. So you see what I'm saying? So, you know, but maybe they have a way forward. We'll see. It just doesn't look promising. That's all I can tell you. You know, it's very confusing if you ask me, you know. I mean, you guys, everyday people, we're all everyday people. You know what it's like if they hit you with some conspiracy, man. You can't go to sleep at night with that. I mean, how you gonna sleep at night with that? It's nearly impossible, man. You're trying to feed your family, and you know, he's missed a lot already. And, you know, I'm just gonna keep it 100 with you guys. As a black man, my grandfather died at 60. I could tell you, my uncles, they check out 65. You know, that's all. You know, you can't just write a book about it in stone. But you know, if you're 55 and they give you 10, 15 years, you come out at 65 or 70. Like, man, that's starting to feel like life. You know what I mean? Like, hopefully they can, I mean, just for the sake of the defendant or any defendant, you know, you're innocent until proven guilty. Hopefully they can pull this off. But the way that they just broke that thing down today, man, it's like they itemize at large hundreds of predicates. The way she explained
in
that
1,000 feet, use the right 2 lanes to take
all it
exit
takes is
74
one-
for Palisades
listen.
Interstate Parkway toward Palisades Parkway.
This is what I gathered from her, and then I have to go because I'm going to lose reception. She basically said, you don't need 10 drug
Use
deals.
the right 2 lanes to take exit 74.
All you need is one. And then she had the nerve to say, the drug does not have to be sold.
Continue for 34 miles.
You can get, you're just as bad for giving away a drug, right? So each freak off, you got 4 or 5 drugs. Then they're testifying that Cassie said for 10 years she was doing freak offs. And then the prosecutor says that there were hundreds of drugs, and you only need, you know, hundreds of instances, and all you need is just 2. So do the math on that. Like, how can you, to beat this case, if they can beat it, they're gonna go down in history as super attorneys, believe that. Because it's like a miracle work, you know what I mean? That's all I can tell you, man. I was sitting in there, I'm like, man, listen, you know, I can't even do the math. It's so much now. It's like, I think it was, who was saying that, Kevin Dism was saying earlier, it's like overwhelming amount of charges, guys. You know what I mean? All right, Curtis says, how much okay, that's the same question. Okay, what made New York City pick the case up and not LA? You know what? That's a very good question. That's a good question. Someone did mention that it's a possibility that LA could pick it up. There's some, you know, some other, just like Harvey Weinstein. And I was like, man, that would just be devastating. You know what I mean? Because this right here has been a fight. Imagine if it's picked up somewhere else or what have you. Yeah, that's something I would definitely have to look into a research. If I have one of the attorneys on tonight, that would be a question I would ask. All right. Bordock says she can't wait for the NFL. Yeah, that's going to be exciting. I think this year my Cowboys are going to go to the Super Bowl, people. We're going to win it all. Might win every game. Wishful thinking, but wishful thinking, folks. When I put that on Facebook, people go crazy. Nobody likes the Cowboys. You know, we're the most hated team in the league, folks. But we're the best team, right? I'm sure you guys would agree to that. Nothing like the Cowboys, right? We're just going through some things right now. Yeah. All right, folks. Well, I'm about to sign out. Thank you guys for tuning in today. We covered a lot of ground, at least when it comes to the case. Just some background information. I hope you guys have a great evening. Okay, boy, I actually watch the Cowboys every year. Okay. Awesome. That's incredible. Who's your team now? Please don't say the New York Giants. Lord have mercy, that would be too much. Or the Eagles. I'm gonna stop up here real quick and show you guys the overview. Especially if you guys ever lived in the Bronx or whatever, you're gonna appreciate that. I think I didn't pass the second one yet. I wish I'd have stopped at the first one. Would have caught the bridge. Chiefs. Oh, you're Chiefs. I've been people I want to switch to the Chiefs, but because they're just so good. I could actually enjoy a win, but I'm gonna stay loyal to my Cowboys, you know. Yeah, I'm gonna do it, folks. I'm gonna do it. It's been a long time since the Cowboys won anything. It's such a stressful situation. Obviously, I'm a Yankee fan, and I think I'm about to go. If LeBron James retires or what have you, I'll be a Knicks fan, I believe, or Nets, because I'm out here. And I go to the Nets game all the time, so I might as well be a part of my state. I'll choose my state for one sport. So I'll go with the New York Knicks. So I'll leave you guys with one good tip for the day. Check out a stock called SoFi, SOFI. Check it out. I think it's gonna do well. You have to obviously do your research and make sure you're making a wise investment, but it's always good to buy. If you're not familiar with the market, it's always good to purchase, and then every day you look at it, you'll see, oh wow, it went up $1. Next thing you know, you'll be rocking and rolling. I'm going to show you guys
in 800 feet, merge onto Palisades Interstate Parkway North.
I'll show you guys this here. This is the Bronx, folks, and Westchester. You're going up toward Westchester. This is the Palisades that I drive up. So here you go, guys. Let's take a quick look here. Look, we're about to have a bad storm, so I got to get up the road. Just to give you an idea how vast New York is. It's very windy out here. Anybody want to screenshot that and read about where I'm at? Whatever you guys want to screenshot it and see what's going down right here. It says I'm right here. But let's just take a brief look here, guys. Look at that ship there. All right. Finishing up the day, folks. Okay, this is New York. You can see the helicopter ride. You can see the George Washington Bridge. I just came over back here, guys. I'd like to show you guys New York. I hope you guys like seeing New York. They're like, we don't want to see no New York. Look at that ship right there, guys. I don't know. It might be one of these. Somebody may know about this ship. I don't know what it is. Maybe an oil rig. Something. Yeah. So there you have it. This is the Bronx that you're seeing over there. Maybe somebody on here have lived there. You see, I drove all the way from way back over there. It took me over an hour, man. Now I still have an hour and a half to drive. That's something, right? Isn't that crazy? But it goes rather quickly, you know. So this is the Hudson. And look how brown the water is, folks. They dump everything in there. They had to come up with a whole lot of regulations because the hospitals be dropping all the craziness in there, man. In fact, you can't dare eat a fish out of there. They tell you there's so much you can only eat maybe one every year. You might grow another ear if you eat out of there. So I don't eat anything out of the Hudson. You'll see the advisories and so forth. Yep. So this is it, folks. Thank you guys for hanging out. I'll definitely be back on tomorrow morning when I make my journey. Probably like around 7 o'clock. I don't have to come on at 6 as early as I used to, but I might just do it because I have a certain crowd that always supports around 6 o'clock. So don't be surprised if I hop on at 6, guys. Okay, you guys have let's see here before I check out. All right, yeah, we'll definitely talk again, brother. Appreciate it. Bordock says I watch the Cowboys every year. One of the teams I like to follow. Yeah, definitely. All right, guys, have a good evening, and I will definitely catch you later. Thanks for all the support.